Ye Chen's foster mother is pregnant with a little fresh meat child from an electronics factory. The mother of this little fresh meat had a grudge against him for killing his father, and later vented this hatred on Ye Chen's adoptive mother. After Ye Chen's foster mother had a child, she discussed with her foster father to abandon Ye Chen again. After the incident of the couple abandoning Ye Chen, their foster mother kept calling Ye Chen an ant. He also boasted to Ye Chen about the child in his belly and said, "Husband, all you want is a child. Are you sure this child belongs to you? Don't be too happy too early." After my adoptive mother finished speaking, my adoptive father followed suit and said, "Although I was swimming in the wild river when I was in elementary school and was picked a grape and a half by the catfish, I still believe in my only remaining ability." Afterwards, when Ye Chen left home, he became a vengeful villain and first attacked his adoptive parents' family. Chapter 1. Women are better than men. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. King Yen Luo slapped the life and death book on the table, and then vomited a mouthful of old blood from his chest. Fortunately, the cow-headed horse noodles next to him were quick-witted. He quickly fed the king of Yen Luo a few quick-acting heart-saving pills and pinched the person, so that the king of Yen Luo did not faint. And the first thing that the king of Yen Luo did when he regained his composure was to burn with anger, cursing Ye Chen uncontrollably. "Ye Chen, you're just a cowardly softy. Women are even better than men." Ye Chen sat in front of the window of the 12th reincarnation, his expression somewhat dull. "Hurry up and let me reincarnate as the king of Yen Luo. In my next life, I will definitely be a wicked person who seeks revenge." The king of hell wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth. "Do you still want reincarnation? Will you only become a vengeful villain in your next life? Do you think I vomited these 2 tails of old blood because I like to eat Mao Shui Wan? I will rebirth you now, and I will make you a vengeful villain. I want you to go through the hardships of your past life for me again, teach all the scumbags who have suffered for you to be human beings, including the son you gave birth to when you were 108 years old, who was not as good as a beast. After this life is over, we can talk about reincarnation." Upon hearing these words, Ye Chen trembled with fear and said, "I don't want to be reborn. I don't want to be reborn, King Yen Luo. I can't compete with them. You should raise your hand and let me reincarnate. I want you to reincarnate, I want you to reincarnate." The king of hell heard that Ye Chen still wanted to reincarnate and reached out to grab Ye Chen's hair, pulling his head into the window where a burst of hammers erupted. Then a ethereal electronic sound echoed in Ye Chen's mind. "Congratulations, master, you have successfully activated the villain system. The left-hand divine doctor and the right-hand disease demon divine doctor disease demon hand have been activated and can be used 5 times each. The next time you use the divine doctor's disease magic hand, you need at least 1 evil point, and you can also exchange the obtained evil points for other cheap hands. The new cheap hand will have 5 opportunities to use 5 evil points for the first time." After the electronic sound, Ye Chen slightly opened his eyes and saw himself lying next to the toilet in the bathroom with a Chinese language book in his hand, which emitted a strong smell of urine. "I'm at my foster mother's house. When I was reborn at the age of 16. Anger too heavy, rejected by the Gradine law for reincarnation, afraid that my reincarnation with past life memories will cause chaos in the mortal world. Meng Pe, if you allow me to reincarnate, I may still be a coward. After all, my personality has not been forgotten. You insist that I ask the king of hell if reincarnation is allowed. It's okay now, you can do whatever you're afraid of. What I'm afraid of now is actually not afraid thinking about it." Ye Chen had already stood up and placed the Chinese language book that had been wet in his backpack by his cousin's urine in the wash basin, washing it page by page. "Brothers, there are all good scenes ahead, I want to start acting. Ye gang, you're peeing in my backpack again, I hate you so much. Husband, I have it." A sweet male voice took the words and said, "Look, I said that the half-grape that was picked off by a big catfish while swimming in the wild when I was a child cannot deprive me of my ability as a man. If we had known we would have had our own children, We wouldn't have adopted Ye Chen as a procrastinator back then. Husband, are you sure this child belongs to you? Wife, in my eyes, you are a traditional woman who is not greedy for wealth or handsome. I believe in you and also in my abilities. Thank you for trusting me, husband. Have you noticed that some of Ye Chen's clothes have faded from washing too hard? Even the toilet and floor at home were discolored by him. Another thing is that he cooks 3 meals a day during his weekend vacation, sometimes not even eating dogs, and only our dad eats them. Wife, I understand what you mean. The most important thing is that Ye Chen still suffers from congenital heart disease, which is difficult to cure. It has cost our family a lot of money for 16 years. Although this money was earned by Ye Chen by washing the whole family's clothes, contracting for 3 meals a day on weekends, and working in the fields, it was also given to him by us. Since it was given to him by his family, it was also their money at this moment. A thick old voice also reached Ye Chen's ear through the staircase. Amitabha Buddha, after all, you have raised it so much. If you abandon it, don't you too feel sorry? Feeling heartbroken. Dad, as the saying goes, if you don't have a strong heart, you won't be afraid that Ye Chen will compete with your grandson for family property someday. Besides, when did you see me and your son feeling sorry for Ye Chen? We didn't have it before, let alone now. My father.in.law, Ye Chen is already an orphan. We just want him to become an orphan again. This is called returning to simplicity. Do you understand? I don't think there is anything wrong with it. On the contrary, there is a strong humanitarian spirit inside. If you feel guilty in your old heart, then just recite Amitabha Buddha a few more times. Upon hearing this, Ye Chen put down his Chinese book and walked to the staircase, leaning on the handrail. He scrutinized his grandfather with a cane in his right hand and a Buddhist pearl in his left hand, as well as his short and chubby foster mother and tall foster father with a square face. However, before he knew how to speak, he was discovered by his foster mother. Ye Chen, clean the toilet now. Hurry up to the 3rd floor and call your uncle and grandpa for dinner. Ye Chen remained unmoved, his face even more sad than last time, and even choked up. I heard it all. My foster mother, Mao Jiuhua, had an awkward expression on her face. She pretended to stroke her Korean-style bangs that covered half of her forehead and said, You've heard it all. Since you have all heard it, let's make plans early. Auntie can only apologize to you. Upon hearing his adoptive mother claiming to be an aunt, Ye Chen remembered the book, Self-Cultivation of Actors. His mouth sank and he raised his hand to wipe away his tears and nose, saying, Mom, can't you wait? In the future, I will work for my family for free, and for my congenital heart disease, I will pick up garbage and sell it for money to recuperate. I promise not to compete with my younger brother or sister for family property. Is that okay? Please don't abandon me, I can't live without this family. Ye Chen, you are deeply pleased to say this to Auntie, but there is no turning back. Besides, Auntie has never treated you as a son and has always regarded you as a potential victim for exploitation. You should be aware of this in your own heart, so Auntie hopes that you can stop pestering and go for a higher career. Auntie by aunt, each sentence full of murderous intent. The last time Ye Chen heard a wow sound here, he burst into tears. This time, he just lowered his head and didn't speak for a moment before looking up again. I'm only 16 years old. What can I do if you sweep me out of the house? I can only starve to death when I leave society. My foster mother hugged her hands and despised Ye Chen, who refused to eat oil and salt, and did not indulge in worldly pleasures. At this moment, Ye Chen felt a tap on his shoulder, but when he turned around, he saw Ye Gang with a tiger-like head and a tiger-like brain, mocking him. Anti-air, don't be so pitiful. You need to work hard. Do you know how many points Ye Chen only scored in the final exam? He only scored 18 points. I ranked first in the entire grade among more than 50,000 candidates in Nanha County, while he ranked last in the class. Our family suddenly achieved 2 first places, which is really commendable. Ye Chen glared at Ye Gang and said, I didn't blame you for peeing in my backpack just now. Why add fuel to the fire? Ye Gang held Ye Chen's chin in both hands and looked at his lost eyes with care. Just now, I was playing games with my dad upstairs. Because I didn't want to go to the bathroom to solve the problem, I used your backpack as a dry toilet. I hope you don't mind being a bad person and can endure it. After all, you are the most enduring ninja turtle in the family. As for why I added fuel to the fire, it was because when I finished using the toilet, I wanted to zip it up for you, but the zipper bit me. Oh, I still pooped in your pen bag. Didn't you just wash the books and not check that swollen pen bag? Chapter 2, Hurry up and get out of here. Uncle and aunt have no nurturing kindness towards you. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Last time it was at this point, Ye Chen was still harboring a fantasy that he would suddenly kneel down for his grandfather and foster parents at the dining table downstairs, followed by a burst of wailing and nagging. But Grandpa and his foster parents were as resolute as iron. Not only did they have no worries in their hearts, but they also ate their meals in large gulps and asked Ye Chen to roll away before the sun had set. If you are not satisfied, you can sue in court, but whether you can win the lawsuit depends on the level of defense lawyers Ye Chen has hired. You can win against Ye Min, who can be sent to prison for indecent assault at a glance. Ye Chen, who knew the result this time, did not kneel down to plead for mercy due to reluctance. He walked down the stairs with a ding-ding-dong-dong sound and then knelt down at the dining table, saying, Since my parents and grandfather have made up their minds, I really don't understand if I don't leave anymore. Thank you to my grandfather and parents for their 16 years of nurturing. I'll leave now. The adoptive father slapped his chopsticks at the mouth of the bowl and said, Hurry up and get out of here. Uncle and aunt have no nurturing kindness towards you, and even if they do, it is your unilateral belief. After all, both uncles, aunts, and your so-called grandfather treat you as a petty servant, and there is only an exchange of interests between the two sides. Where are you going, Ye Chen? We should sincerely thank you for nurturing us and not pick on others. You often steal the snacks I throw in the trash can. At school, I often give you leftover food that I can't finish. Do you also have to thank me for my nurturing? Quickly thank your tender father, kneel down for me, thank you. As soon as Ye finished speaking downstairs, he pulled Ye Chen's hair and pressed it against the floor. But Ye Chen raised his hand and grabbed his wrist, and then the long-lost electronic sound in his mind rang out again. Ding-dong. The system has sent a copy of acute myocardial infarction. The system has sent out a copy of urinary and fecal incontinence. The system has sent a copy of severe cerebral palsy. Currently, there are 2 remaining opportunities to use the sick magic hand and 5 opportunities to use the divine doctor hand. The electronic sound disappeared, and Ye Chen Kai wept and pretended to plead, Ye Gang, you bully me every day. I dare not even fart, can't you speak for me? Ye Gang saw a thin, tall, and large buck tooth coming down the stairs, and let go of it. He welcomed Ye Chen up. Second uncle and second auntie, Ye Chen doesn't care if I call him dad, nor does he kowtow to me. He's not sincerely grateful for his upbringing. Don't pay attention to him, as long as your heart is even harder towards him, it's right. Dad, didn't you say you can't go up the meteor diamond and not go down the stairs? Big buck teeth gave Ye Chen a disgusted glance as he went downstairs. His gaze was like Ye Chen had just greeted his ancestors for 18 generations, and then he touched the back of Ye Gang's head. It's not that I blame my son for his excellent grades and winning the first place in the whole grade. Your homeroom teacher is calling to visit your home, it's all outside the door. Come on in quickly, Teacher Li. I only have Ye Chen as my dog, but my teeth have been pulled out by the whole family. He shouted to the outside of the main room, then looked at Ye Chen with disdain and said, Ye Chen, your adoptive parents have told you since childhood that you were adopted by them, with the purpose of making you feel a sense of crisis. I didn't expect this sense of crisis to cultivate you into a lowly race who can't fight back, scold back, only know how to grovel, and only know how to laugh and please. It's already this time, you think you have room for redemption. Your foster parents are really good at guiding you at that moment. A woman in a women's suit, accompanied by a large group of children, walked into the hall. Mr. Yi, your son Ye Gang ranked first in the final exam of the whole grade. Today, I came to your home with a study representative sent by the whole grade to learn from you. I mainly want to learn your son's learning methods. Then the learning representatives will deliver it to their own classes after the start of the school year. Please forgive me for any inconvenience caused. Ye Gang, do you have time now? Ye Chen knows this woman. She is Teacher Li, the homeroom teacher of Ye Gang's class, and she used to be Ye Chen's homeroom teacher. However, after Ye Chen was transferred to Abnormal Human Rehabilitation High School by his foster mother, she stopped. However, when Teacher Li came in, he only greeted Ye Gang without even looking at Ye Chen, which made Ye Chen feel very uncomfortable. Teacher Li, I'm afraid Ye Gang can't teach everyone. Now even he himself is a fool. Teacher Li glared at Ye Chen and said, Ye Chen, you used a good metaphorical sentence. You compared Ye Gang to you, right? After a loud puff of his teeth, he patted Ye Gang, who was suddenly stunned, and said, Son, your homeroom teacher is asking you a question. She wants you to teach everyone your learning methods. Why are you still fooled? Ye Chen had long noticed a change in Ye Gang's gaze. Previously, Ye Gang's gaze was full of light and spiritual energy, but now it's like two dusty incandescent lamps with no vitality at all. As for the words spoken by de Buffon, Ye Gang suddenly threw out a sentence. 1 + 1 = 7, 2 + 2 = 8, and my dad plus mom = 3. Ye Gang was not stingy either. Since Teacher Li led a group to come knocking on the door, he definitely had to do it. However, after doing it, the students did not humbly accept the teaching, but instead burst into laughter. Is this still teaching me? He can't be a fool, can he? Teacher Li, have we found the wrong place? We can still get the first place in the whole grade just by doing this. I'm a little kid, I have to learn from him now. Don't you become a hooligan. Seeing Teacher Li awkwardly scratching his ears and cheeks, his big crooked teeth quickly patted the back of Ye Gang's head like a black and white TV, saying, What's wrong? Son, what's wrong with you? Are there too many people scared? Upon hearing this, Teacher Li also felt that it was like this. After all, some people have been afraid of crowded environments since childhood. When there are many people, he becomes nervous and helpless, unable to even speak fluently. Therefore, he quickly stepped forward and gently rubbed Ye Gang's chest. Just now, don't be nervous. Have you learned how to listen to politics from the hanging curtain? How about the teacher find a cloth to listen to your lectures between you and your classmates? If you think it's okay, just nod, okay. However, as soon as Teacher Li finished speaking, Ye Gang suddenly covered his chest and his dull expression twisted into a bitter gourd. Teacher, you're rubbing my chest and it hurts. Then, under the gaze of everyone, Ye Gang collapsed on the ground like a dead dog, his face devoid of oxygen and turned into pig iron, which frightened everyone present in silence. 3 seconds later, Ye Dihai, the grandfather of Ye Chen, who was serving Buddha beads on the dining table, threw the beads and crutches and ran over to pick up Ye Gang with a frightened expression on his face. My grandson, what's wrong with you? Didn't you do well just now? As soon as Ye didn't wake up, the old man quickly pinched him again and rubbed him back and forth on the ground, completely unaware of artificial respiration. However, as he reached his lower back, Ye Gang's crotch was suddenly lifted by a mysterious force, and then a pillar of feces, like a park water fountain, emerged from his crotch. After drawing an arc in the air, it rained down on the dining table. Ye Chen's foster mother was furious and said, What are you doing? I haven't eaten enough yet. And Big Buck Teeth sternly rebuked, bowing and pushing the old man aside. Don't rub it, it's making you explode. My son, what's wrong with you? Don't scare Dad. As soon as the old man was pushed away, he released his restraint, and Ye Gang was directly pushed out of the hall by a huge counter-thrust, knocking down a large group of classmates and scaring them into shouting and running around in disorder. Everyone ran outside the door, and after calling for a doctor, Ye Chen's adoptive father immediately became furious at the dining table. "Students can leave, but teacher Li, you cannot leave. My nephew has become foolish for no reason. My nephew's javelin shooting was rubbed by my father. But you rubbed my nephew's chest pain, I saw it all. You wait now, I have already called Dr. Shui over. Once Dr. Shui examines the condition, we can solve it as we please." Ye Chen, who was watching the play on the side, felt a thump in his heart and said, "Dr. Shui, last time I knocked my head off and was picked up by my uncle and thrown out the door, I was hit more than 10 meters by Dr. Shui's passing car. Afterwards, Dr. Shui cured me and I became a clerk in Dr. Shui's pharmacy. Shui Shini is a scammer Shini, who even searches for treatment methods on the ferry to treat a cold. However, my Shini hands are not yet useful. I'll go to the Shini pharmacy and wait first." Another issue is that Wei Min, who was innocently imprisoned and harmed by the divine doctor's pharmacy, needs to be trained. Chapter 3. I'm gone. What do you think of your old Ye family kneeling down and begging me? You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the performance of this once-in-a-lifetime drama, Ye Chen felt that he had not disappointed the king of hell or himself. After feeling complacent for a moment, he also ran to the outside of the Ye family's rural villa, and the military green pickup ambulance that Ye Chen was familiar with last time happened to stop outside the gate of the villa. Wow wow wow. What's going on? Hurry up and pick up the patient in the car. On the Mediterranean, covered in a pile of looped hair, Dr. Shui, wearing a white coat, saw his big buck teeth rushing out with Ye Gang in his arms, and quickly opened the back seat door. As soon as the car door opened, Ye Chen didn't hesitate to sneak in and played with his preconceived cleverness. "Put your feet in first, put your feet in first, I'll pull them in." After pulling Ye Gang into the car, Shui Shini quickly started the fire. Big Buck Teeth and his foster mother were sitting in the passenger seat, while his foster father and grandfather helped Ye Gang and Ye Chen sit behind. The foster father looked at Ye Chen with disgust as if he had seen a mistress. "There are so many people here who can't use you. What you should do now is to get out of here quickly, instead of bowing down to please. Do you think it's useful?" Ye Chen curled his lips and said, "I'm leaving. What do you think of your old Ye family kneeling down and begging me?" After cutting his big buck tooth, he didn't speak, and after several twists and turns, Shui Shini parked his car under his shiny golden signboard, Shini Clinic, and said, "Hurry up and take it in. Wei Min, hurry up and find a hospital bed. Don't be fooled." Wearing a nurse's hat, Wei Min, who had a plump figure and a tight nurse uniform, with a face covered in sand, saw that Ye had just been picked up from the car. She turned around and ran into the clinic, guiding the family members, including Dr. Shui and Ye Chen, to the ward behind the clinic. After a flurry, Dr. Shui wiped his sweat and sat next to Wei Gang with relief. The condition has been investigated. Ye Gang suffers from 3 diseases. Acute myocardial infarction, ultra-high-pressure urinary and fecal incontinence, and severe cerebral palsy. And these diseases are all acquired in a short period of time. These diseases don't need to go to a large hospital, as long as they can be cured in my clinic. However, the treatment cost is 6 million yuan. Can your family discuss whether it is acceptable? If you can accept it, please go back. The clinic will notify you to pick up the patient once they are well. The Ye family chattered incessantly for a while, mainly complaining about how Ye Gang suddenly fell ill with so many serious illnesses, and how much money was not enough even to sell his family's property and house. Ye Chen saw the Ye family's face full of difficulties and enthusiastically stood up, saying, "Shui Shen cannot cure this disease. Shui Shen doctor is just a fraud. All patients who come to the Divine Doctor Clinic will be sent to his daughter's hospital for treatment by Dr. Shui after supporting the patient's family members." This is the confidence of Xue Shini's name and plaque to dare to claim himself as a divine doctor. And Dr. Xue can earn at least 4 million kickbacks with 6 million yuan, right? Dr. Xue's cold gaze fell on Ye Chen. This time, Dr. Xue did not knock Ye Chen half to death, so his face showed no sympathy or guilt. You poisoned without evidence. Don't talk nonsense, otherwise I will sue you for defamation. Mao Jiuhua, do you not care about your son's nonsense here? Do you insist that I use legal weapons? Mao Jiuhua was Ye Chen's foster mother, and she was not moved when she heard these words. Xue Shini should sue. Ye Chen has already been abandoned by the old Ye family and has nothing to do with the Ye family now. Xue Shini had a ghost in his heart, thinking that his little pussy had been discovered by someone, so he didn't go up to the top and go online again. Your name is Ye Chen, right? I can't treat it, can you? Ye Chen slants support on the wall of the ward and says, after all this talk, we will wait for Dr. Xue. Do you have any other patients besides Wei Gang? Pull one out and I'll treat it for you. I'm the real miracle doctor, you're not. Mao Jiuhua cleared her throat and said, hey, push. Ye Chen, I can't tell that a dog servant who can only score 16 is still a divine doctor. If you were a divine doctor, I would call you, Dad, in front of everyone present. Xue Shini just wanted to quickly send Ye Chen away, but he couldn't disrupt his $6 million business. Okay, I believe it. Wei Min should quickly find a patient to come over and send this crazy person away. I don't want to waste time with him. And within a few minutes of Wei Min's departure, an old man with a hunchback of 90 degrees was invited to the hospital room by Wei Min. I found this outside the shop. This old man is a scavenger on the street and has been changing bladder stones for 20 years. Let's take it for treatment. When Ye Chen saw the patient, he turned behind the old man and picked him up. He weighed him up and down a few times and made the sound of stir-frying soybeans. Ding dong. The system has cured 1 bladder stone. The system has cured 1 hunchback. At present, the remaining number of times the divine doctor's hand has been used is 3 times. Bladder stones are all packed up, it's popping and popping. And Ye Chen placed the old man on the ground, and his height grew by 30 centimeters in a visible state to the naked eye. But the old man felt chest tightness and his breath was relieved. He opened his mouth in surprise and, under the gaze of everyone, found the staircase entrance and climbed up the 5th floor effortlessly. He then ran down with a ding-ding-dong sound, and finally ran out of the clinic happily, leaving a group of people in chaos in the gust of wind. Xue Shini, hurry up and take action. My son is still waiting to give a lecture to his classmates, said Big Bucktooth, who was stunned in the crowd. Shocked and at a loss, Xue Shini struggled fiercely in his heart for a while. It turns out that Ye Chen is really a Shini. Not only is the stone no longer ringing, but also the gradual straightening of his hunchback, which is beyond my reach. It's really true that real people don't show their faces. But I didn't see Ye Chen taking medication either. Ye Chen just hugged the big brother from behind. Did he get an injection and didn't see it? I also planned to quickly drive him away. If Ye Chen is really a miracle doctor, I need to find ways to keep him now. As long as we keep Ye Chen and turn my small clinic into one of the Fortune Global 500, it would be easy to achieve 6 billion, not to mention 6 million at that time. Bucktooth, Ye Chen is your nephew. He has now proven that he is a divine doctor. You can directly beg him, why are you calling me? And you can also save 6 million yuan in treatment costs. Big Buckteeth glanced at Ye Chen and said, our Ye family has already kicked him out of the house. Will he still be a petty person and ignore adults? That's a matter with your Ye family, not with me, Dr. Xue, offending Ye Chen. If you really want me to save you, then it's still 6 million, not even a penny less. What do you think? As soon as Xue Shini finished speaking, the duck with big bucktooth boiled teeth had a hard mouth and plopped before kneeling in front of Xue Shini. Xue Shini, our Ye family is a banker's family, how can we have so much money? Let's not say 6 million, we can't even get out 600,000. Please. Dr. Shui knew that Big Bucktooth wanted to beg Ye Chen through his roundabout way, so he had no choice but to glance at Ye Chen with evasive eyes and said, Dr. Ye, what do you think? Ye Chen looked at Shui arrogantly and said, what's this to do with you? Chapter 4. I call myself the second most despicable person in the world, and no one dares to call me the first. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Wei Min, who was standing on the side, suddenly vomited twice upon hearing these words, then covered her mouth and scolded Ye Chen to shift the topic. Shui is just asking a question for someone. Why are you so angry? You can't even speak human language. Didn't I just scare you a few words? Just now, I used the words, Dr. Yi, to apologize to you as a gesture of disrespect. Dr. Shui seems to be interested in you now. Ye Chen, it's best not to let me have you. While Wei Min was talking incessantly, Big Bucktooth pulled Mao Jiuhua aside and said a few words, then Mao Jiuhua reluctantly walked towards Ye Chen, and finally, plopped and knelt in front of Ye Chen, knocking twice. Dad, I admit you are a divine doctor. Hurry up and treat Ye Gang. He is your cousin with blood thicker than water. Ye Chen was afraid of losing Yang Shou, so he quickly hid behind Dr. Shui and said, Aunt Mao, calling me dad is something you're willing to do. Besides, I can't guarantee that if you kowtow to me, you will treat Ye Gang's illness, so don't let the peacock show off and act recklessly. Mao Jiuhua looked up at Ye Chen's pleading expression, with mixed feelings in her heart. How could this be? Even if the old Ye family kicked Ye Chen out of the house, it shouldn't be like this. Big brother, didn't he say that Ye Chen was trained by our couple to be a pug who only knows how to grovel and flatter? So even if Ye Chen is angry, he can't be so indifferent. After all, Jiang Shan is easy to change and his temperament is hard to change. Is it difficult to say that Ye Chen deliberately pretended to be an honest person just to stay at the old Ye family? He must be like this bastard with a human face and a beast heart that is inconsistent on the surface. But Ye Chen looked at the grievances on Mao Jiuhua's face and didn't even look at them. Are you acting, Aunt Mao? You're not like this when you're at home. How about I call Oscar and ask him to award you a little gold medal? Ye Chen, you said you followed me to this divine doctor's clinic to see our Ye family kneel down for you, so our whole family will kneel down for you now. And when Grandpa Ye shouted, everyone in the Ye family knelt down in front of Dr. Shui without hesitation, saying, Ye Chen, forgive Grandpa once. It was Grandpa who couldn't stop your parents from abandoning you. Good grandson, do you still remember when your grandfather used to buy you candy to eat? When you were a child, you liked to ride on your grandfather's shoulder, and you still had diarrhea on his neck. Do you remember Big Bucktooth also lowered his head to repent and said, Ye Chen, Uncle is not a person. Uncle is a jerk. In order to drive you out of the Ye family, I used to make your room available for just being married. I often make you defecate and pee on your bed. Beating your little report in front of your parents has made them hate you more and more. Uncle was wrong with Ye Chen, so please forgive him this time. When your cousin recovers from his illness, you can go back to the Ye family and continue living your life. Uncle guarantees that no one will dare to trouble you again. Ye Chen snorted coldly and said, Get out of here. I haven't experienced any tricks in your Ye family in these years. I am the night pot left by your Ye family in the stinky ditch at the door. Now I want to use it and lick my old face to pick it up, right? I won't save Ye Gang because this is the retribution your Ye family deserves, and I don't want to go against fate. I won't go back to your Ye family to be a cow or a horse again, otherwise I would call you the second lowest slut in the world, and no one would dare to call me the first. The whole family seemed to be what Ye Chen meant, because as soon as Ye Chen finished speaking, they stood up on their own. Then, Mao Jiuhua looked up and down at Ye Chen, who was a small person who had achieved success, and said, The Ye family just wanted to squeeze out your last bit of utility value. I want to go back to the Ye family and make them sincerely beg you. What do you think you are, you? Why are you not sincere in asking for help? Is there anyone who asks for help like this? It's too frustrating. Liu Bei begged Zhuge Liang 3 times. Xueshini spread out his hands to express regret. Mao Jiuhua patted her pant legs, her mouth almost grinning to her ear. Dr. Xue, haven't you seen Ye Chen's arrogant behavior? What Mao Jiuhua hates the most in her life is this kind of pretentious trash, bitch. Hey, Dr. Xue, how can you help Ye Chen speak? Xueshini let out a long sigh and did not return to Mao Jiuhua. Since your Yi family is so strong, let's go treat Yi Gang's illness on your own. I made my own mistakes first, and I am so stubborn in asking for help. I have lived for a long time and can see all kinds of people. There are all kinds of birds in the big forest. The old man of the Yi family slammed his cane fiercely onto the ground and said, Amitabha Buddha, Ye Chen, if you don't save yourself from death, you will also face retribution. Boss, hold your son and we should go now. Without these 2 young butchers, I don't believe I can eat pigs with fur. Let's go find Teacher Li first. Treating one disease is the first thing. After the Yi family left with resentment, Ye Chen felt even more relieved than taking the Shunqi pill. If the goal has been achieved, then I should go too. Of course, Ye Chen is just casually saying it. After all, Wei Min is inexplicably pregnant for 3 months, and the innocent imprisonment of Ye Chen has not been resolved yet. As soon as Xueshini heard that Ye Chen was about to leave, he quickly blocked the door of the ward and said, Ye Chen, I want to invite you to be my assistant at this Shini clinic. If you want the salary yourself, I'll lose if I bargain. Besides, can't it be considered sincerity to let my $6 million business slip away for your sake? Seeing Wei Minbai give him a glance, Ye Chen was too lazy to say, I promise you that I will be Dr. Xue. You can pay me the salary as you please. Xueshini was so happy that he jumped and jumped like he had a spare tire for his beloved woman. That's great, really great. Is dinner ready? Wei Min, hurry up and set the table. After Wei Min reluctantly left, Xueshini took Ye Chen's arm and walked outside, saying, with Yishini, why would I take such a big risk to earn kickbacks in the future? Haha. Dr. Yi, may I ask how do you know that I am a fake doctor? I have never mentioned it to anyone before, have I? Ye Chen smiled calmly and said, I used to be a clerk in your pharmacy, did you forget so quickly? The monk of Xueshini Zhang couldn't figure it out and said, have you worked as a clerk in my clinic before? My clinic only has Wei Min as the medication dispensing assistant, Jia Chang as the backyard infusion assistant, Wei Tang as the cooking assistant, and I haven't found another medication dispensing assistant until today. You said you worked as a clerk in my clinic. When? In my previous life. Dr. Xue snorted and said, all right, I won't break the clay pot and ask the whole question. Since I need you, don't keep asking and hurt your harmony. This is Ye Chen, the cafeteria of our pharmacy. Please sit down quickly. Since you're not very old, I won't drink from you. I'll go outside and buy you a bottle of Farmer's Sour and Sweet, and then we can have a good chat. After Ye Chen sat down, he drooled over a large table of dishes. As soon as Xueshini left, Wei Min quickly served Ye Chen a bowl of rice. Hurry up and eat, Ye Chen. You look yellow and skinny. Does the old Yi family often abuse you? Upon hearing this, Ye Chen suddenly had a sour nose. He had been working as a cow and horse in the old Yi family for many years. He couldn't eat at the table and had to pay 20 yuan in rent for his room a month. He was also often beaten up by the Yi family, who often ordered him to stay at home and slept in the straw stacks in someone else's fields. Didn't you just pick your nose and eyes at me in the backyard ward, which was not friendly at all? Why is it suddenly so enthusiastic? Do you want me to marry your daughter instead of the groom in Chapter 5? You are listening at Novel Full.audio. There were 2 people sitting in front of the round table, one was Wei Min, a bulky figure, and the other was a middle-aged man with gray hair, who was Wei Min's unworthy father Wei Tang. Before Ye Chen came in, the 2 of them were chatting happily. The middle-aged man, Wei Tang, Wei Min's adoptive father, was still sighing, I really don't know whose it is. Wei Min pondered for a moment and said, Dad, I've already told you that at the classmate gathering 3 months ago, I didn't do anything with my classmates. We just had a simple meal and went to KTV to sing, and then drank too much at KTV and went home for over an hour. Oh, my Minner, you are such a innocent little girl. How could you encounter such a thing? What do you call this? You said it would be great if you had realized you were pregnant earlier. Why did you only notice fetal movements after 3 months? It's such a clumsy lump. Wei Min lifted her head and pouted with a mournful expression, Dad, I have already asked Jia Chang, who received intravenous fluids in the backyard. He said he knew I was pregnant and vomiting 2 months ago, so he refused to take the medication. Wei Ting nodded and said, You said Dr. Xue found another one to apply medicine for, right? How big is this one? Have you gotten married yet? Oh no, his name is Ye Chen, and he looks like he's only 17 or 18 years old. He definitely can't do it. Wei Ting sneered and said, You are already on the verge of death, daughter. Why bother with him so much? Do you have to wait until your child is born before taking him to the matchmaking agency to find the black pot man? It's all your fault for not letting go of your child. It seems like someone has come in. You'll be acting with me soon. I'll definitely get rid of this blame. Quickly turn on the phone monitor and place it on the cupboard, then aim it at this table. As soon as Wei Min finished his task and sat down, Dr. Xue led Ye Chen into the small canteen. When Ye Chen asked, Wei Min quickly apologized to him, I'm sorry when I was in the backyard ward. My wedding day is coming tomorrow, but my fiancé A is working as a dung picker abroad. The contractor said they won't let the production of feces increase during Christmas, so they have some resentment in their hearts. Ye Chen nods and puts a piece of braised pork belly in his mouth to chew. Last time, Wei Min didn't throw a look at Ye Chen because he was in a bad mood. Instead, he gave Ye Chen a mobile phone on the sickbed to please Ye Chen. And the subsequent plot is the same as now, and may also have an extension. Just push it back, it's such a simple thing. Wei Min pouted again and said, My dad gave the feng shui master 80,000 yuan to choose an auspicious day on the Chinese zodiac. Not to mention, 80,000 yuan has to be used to choose a new day. My dad and I are both workers, how can we afford to spend so much money? Wei Ting secretly felt proud and said, My daughter is becoming more and more like me. She doesn't even blink her eyes when telling lies, and she's telling the truth. My mind is spinning fast, I haven't even figured out how to deal with Ye Chen yet. Ye Chen, I'm cooking for you. Just call me Uncle Wei. Ye Chen, since you know my daughter, what do you think of Wei Uncle's request for something? Ye Chen pretended to be crazy and foolish in front of his actor, and after a moment of contemplation, he opened his mouth and said, Do you want me to marry your daughter instead of the groom? Wei Ting felt a thump in his heart and said, Oh my God, this is not just a divine doctor, it's simply a divine being. He knew what color of feces I was going to pull before I even got into the ditch. Yes, Dr. Yi is truly a divine person. What does Dr. Yi think? Ye Chen was originally here to teach the two of them how to be human, so he naturally wouldn't have the shyness and shirking of the previous time. He was going to directly provoke the yellow dragon. After all, he was even more cowardly than his own father, and there were still many painful scenes to play in the future. Okay, but you two can't be too clever to frame me, otherwise I'm only 16 years old, and the patrol room won't let you go. I won't give up easily. Wei Min dared not speak for several times, but Wei Ting didn't think so in his heart. Are you scaring me? As long as you take this blame, I will secretly manipulate it again. Don't say you're with the patrol room, even if you're really a fairy, you'll have to obediently admit defeat. I dare not, Dr. Yi. What are you talking about? We are both workers and honest people. Ye Chen nodded and brought back a bowl of rice. Just as he was about to sit down, he saw a bullet with sparse hair. He stood timidly at the door, and when he saw Ye Chen returning to his seat, He took advantage of carrying Wei Tang and the other two and gave a glance before calling Ye Chen out of the door. My name is Ye Chen, I am an intravenous patient in the backyard ward and also your colleague. I can't believe what Wei Tang and Yi are saying, brother. So Wei Min had an accident at a classmate gathering 3 months ago, and you saw her vomit during pregnancy in the backyard ward, right? I've been listening outside for a long time, so don't attend tomorrow's wedding. The two of you are looking for the scapegoat. He may give you a mobile phone later, which Wei Min gave me last time and I didn't want it. You can't take it either. Ye Chen patted Ye Chen's shoulder and said, brother, thank you for reminding me. I understand. Ye Chen, where are you two talking about? Ye Chen, we've been at the pharmacy for 3 months now. There's something we can't talk about in person. We have to go out and whisper. Did you speak ill of me? Ye Chen turned around and saw Wei Ting standing under the door frame of the cafeteria, holding his rice bowl. Ye Chen pushed Ye Chen as he walked towards the cafeteria and replied, Uncle Wei, look at what you said. Didn't you ask Ye Chen to cure his hunchback before collecting garbage, and then he was hired by Dr. Shui with a high salary? I'm trying to flatter and get close to him. However, when Ye Chen said this, Wei Ting didn't think so. After all, he is an old man over 50 years old and definitely has rich social experience. He wants to squeeze Ye Chen out and not confuse Ye Chen into causing him trouble. Ye Chen, are you flattering a simplified version of him? Do you only know how to play tricks, don't you give gifts, don't invite him to eat, and don't use foot washing and massage? Young people nowadays are so easy to flatter. I'm different from you. I was about to give Dr. Yi a branded phone and then stutter. Here, I'll give you a gift to meet Ye Chen. The gift is light and the affection is heavy. Please don't refuse, Dr. Yi. Where can flatterers give away mobile phones? Ye Chen, I've already figured it out. I want to give you a house and a car. Just now I went to buy you Nongfu sour sweet and called my daughter. A few days ago, she said that the hospital received a female celebrity who is suffering from advanced leukemia. Because the hospital cannot cure her, she plans to transfer to another country for treatment. Since Dr. Yi has become my buddy now, I told my daughter to send this female celebrity to my clinic. Dr. Yi, as long as the white jade mantu is cured, we will make a big profit of 30 million yuan. Celebrities are rich. Uncle Wei, you just said in a strange way that my flattery was shabby. Compared to Dr. Shui, your flattery is also quite shabby, ha ha ha. Ye Chen seized the opportunity and output for a while. Wei Tang was already suspicious of Ye Chen, but now that Ye Chen is being so tough, it has left Wei Tang with no face. Wei Tang's heart is full of excitement, and he says, it turns out that Dr. Shui is going to make a lot of money. How could he be so generous? Hurry up and sit down, Dr. Shui. Pour some wine for Ye Chen, Minner. Ye Chen is going to resign before he even starts work. We have to respect him no matter what. Dr. Yi is a divine doctor, and one day he will seek someone else's help. Dr. Shui suddenly turned his head to look at Ye Chen, and his worried expression was about to overflow. Dr. Yi, what's going on here? Chapter 6. Double happiness comes with the join of Dr. Yi, who is a lucky star. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wei Ting calmly handed Ye Chen a cup of Nongfu sour and sweet wine, and then took the wine opened by Wei Min and filled it with the wine for Dr. Shui. Dr. Shui, just now I was urinating outside the cafeteria when I heard Ye Chen whispering to Dr. Yi under the tree outside the door. I'll listen carefully and guess what happened. Ye Chen said that the salary you gave was too low and he wanted to resign. He also asked Dr. Yi to resign together. Ye Chen said that he has a friend who is a visiting doctor in the hospital, and if Dr. Ye's medical skills were to go to his friend's hospital, he wouldn't be making a fortune. And Ye Chen can also benefit from it, relying on Ye Chen's medical skills to make a vice dean or something. Feast and Shueshini, regardless of whether he was innocent or not, slapped the table and said, Jia Chang, you're going too far. If you want to complain about the low salary, I can give you a raise, but you're trying to poach me. I think you want to go to court. I'll tell you Jia Chang, no one can poach Dr. Ye from my clinic. Whoever dares to think of Dr. Ye from my clinic, I don't rule out using violent means as a response. If you don't believe it, give it a try. Jia Chang stood up in a hurry and said, Dr. Shui, I didn't say it like that. Uncle Wei, how could you falsely accuse someone without proper justification? Wei Ting didn't pay attention to Jia Chang, but calmly took out his phone from his pocket like an old dog and played with it a few times before showing it to Dr. Shui, saying, this is a video I took. Jia Chang encouraged Dr. Ye to look over at the cafeteria, fearing that someone might notice. Seeing me urinating outside the cafeteria, he quickly pushed Dr. Ye into the cafeteria. If you don't believe me, ask my daughter, you can't even hear this video clearly, can you? Dr. Shui took his phone and looked at it, then clung the earpiece to his ear. Seeing Shueshini suspicious, Wei Min quickly followed suit and said, my dad has been using this phone for many years, and the recording function has long been broken. But my dad didn't lie a word, I can testify because I heard it too. Mr. Shui knocked his phone onto the desk and said, if someone says I can't believe it, but even Wei Min said the same, then I can't help but believe Jia Chang. After dinner, pack up and leave. I can't afford to keep things inside and outside. Jia Chang got up in excitement and grabbed Wei Ting's collar, saying, you're an old man who never dies. Are you deliberately messing with me? Believe it or not, I'll kill you. Wei Ting snorted coldly, are you saying that I am wronging you? But why don't you tell me what you are saying since I am wronging you? Wei Ting is cunning. He set up a chain of tricks for Jia Chang. Firstly, he wrongly accused Jia Chang of persuading Ye Chen to resign, and then he used Shueshini to get rid of him. If Jia Chang is cunning and Shueshini can't bear it, then force Jia Chang to say what he told Ye Chen. This may lead to Shueshini's blame for lying, but later on, you can naturally find Jia Chang to be honest with him, or directly squeeze him out. After all, Shueshini will only turn a blind eye when he knows Jia Chang's character, as the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. Wei Ting asked, and Jia Chang looked at Ye Chen and hesitated for a moment. However, Ye Chen was too lazy to deal with Wei Ting because he was in a hurry and said, Dr. Shui, Jia Chang asked me to go out but didn't ask me to resign. He just told me not to get too close to Wei Ting and Ye Chen, otherwise he will take the blame for Wei Min. Wei Ting was mentally prepared, but naturally did not find it strange. How about Jia Chang, still flattering? Is this flattering? It's clearly like drinking water to captivate the soul. Jia Chang finally breathed a sigh of relief. If he had lost his previous job, it would have been gone. Anyway, wherever he went, the salary would have been similar. Now it's different. Ye Chen, who in the clinic is willing to leave. Isn't that a fool? Even if he doesn't get a raise, I'm just like Shueshini, pulling some unknowingly sharp customers and even taking some kickbacks can be held to death. Did you hear that? Dr. Shui, what kind of thing is Wei Ting? He's running the train with his mouth full. The anger on Shueshini's face gradually dissipated and he said, Wei Ting, what do you mean by this? You're so old, why don't you speak the truth? Wei Ting shamelessly encountered Shueshini and said, the method of provocation, the method of provocation. I mainly want to know if Jia Chang spoke ill of me, but I didn't expect it to be true. Jia Chang thought that he had flattered Ye Chen, so Ye Chen naturally spoke up for him, and the fact is that. Although Ye Chen was honest, he had no choice but to say, Uncle Wei, you already know now. I want to know what you're going to do to me now, and I also want to see how you dare to do to me. Wei Ting glanced at Ye Chen like a dragonfly skimming water, then looked at Shueshini with evasive eyes. Shueshini then, twice before speaking, since it's not a work-related matter, I'll just let it go. What do you think of Ye Chen? Ye Chen nodded and said, this is Uncle Wei's business. Why did you come to me after a while? Let's listen to Dr. Shui. Is Uncle Wei dissatisfied with anything? Wei Ting waved his hand repeatedly and said, no, no, no. Although I am an elder and a bad old man, I can still distinguish between big and small kings. Then I'll just listen to the two divine doctors. I don't know when Ye Chen will be run away now, because Ye Chen didn't mean to say a word for Ye Chen. Ye Chen will bravely beat Ye Chen in the future. Alright, for dinner, Wei Ting is the same as you. You dare not do anything to Ye Chen. Why bother with so many things? It's unnecessary, Shueshini toasted Wei Ting. After Wei Ting drank a glass of wine, he immediately assumed an elder posture and said, Ye Chen, let it go this time. I see that you and my daughter are quite different from each other. Let's not make an exception. Dr. Ye Chen likes my daughter, but she has a boyfriend now. That's why he instigates discord and speaks recklessly, isn't it? Ye Chen buried his head in eating and didn't like to talk to anyone. Shueshini took over the conversation and said, oh, Wei Min has a boyfriend. I thought Wei Min was single. Wei Ting put down his glass and waved his hand, saying, Minner has a boyfriend and is getting married tomorrow. However, because her boyfriend cannot return home on time to attend the wedding tomorrow, I did not treat him in advance. But now Dr. Yi plans to marry my son. Law, so I officially invite Dr. Shui. Tomorrow, I will invite Dr. Shui and Ye Chen to have my daughter's wedding banquet. The wedding will be held at the Drunken Immortal Tower across from the pharmacy at noon. Upon hearing this, Shui Shen quickly poured a bowl of soup for Wei Min and said, Congratulations. Isn't my divine doctor's clinic a double blessing? Come, raise your glass and drink together, raise your glass and drink together. Wei Ting first raised his glass. Just now, he only dared to scold Ye Chen, showing off his cleverness in front of Dr. Shui, and dared not say a word of no to Ye Chen. It's just that I'm afraid I'll offend Ye Chen, the scapegoat, and make tomorrow's wedding come to nothing. Now, taking advantage of everyone's enthusiasm, he took the opportunity to create an ideology that was not aimed at Ye Chen. He raised his glass and without any hesitation flattered him. He knew that as long as Ye Chen was stabilized, everything could remain the same tomorrow. Double happiness on the door, double happiness on the door. Dr. Shui will make a big profit the day after tomorrow. My daughter's wedding tomorrow will be a happy occasion. However, I have to reiterate that both happiness and happiness cannot be achieved without the addition of Dr. Yi, who is a lucky star. Chapter 7. What a sin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After 3 rounds of drinking and 5 flavors of food, it was already 6 o'clock in the evening. When Shueshini saw Ye Chen yawning, he drank his last glass with him and said, All right, that's it for today. Ye Chen, take Ye Chen to the dormitory. It's too late today. I'll book a hotel for Ye Chen when the wedding ends tomorrow. Seeing Ye Chen standing up and gesturing for Ye Chen to use oil, Wei Ting quickly stood up and said, Wait, Ye Chen, after you go out to the shop with Ye Chen, take a pack of ready-made anti-abortion medicine from the counter and go back. I will give the medicine money to Shueshini, this young uncle, later. Ye Chen and Ye Chen turned around outside the door and nodded to Wei Ting before leaving. After Mr. Shui also left the cafeteria, Wei Ting took off his phone from the cupboard and nodded proudly, all the programs must be completed tonight. Let's take action, Minner. After listening to Wei Ting's words, Wei Min went to the shop and downloaded the video of Ye Chen and Ye Chen taking the medicine on her phone. After finishing, she closed the rolling shutter door and walked back to the dormitory, saying, Where's the anti-abortion medicine? Ye Chen helped me boil it, but it's inconvenient for me to have a big belly. Ye Chen was dozing off in Ye Chen's bed when he heard Minner speak and quickly opened his eyes. He then knowingly asked, Minner, are you taking anti-abortion pills? Are you really pregnant? Minner pulled out a black used medicine jar from under the iron frame bed on the opposite side and said, Isn't it common nowadays to take a ride first and then buy a ticket? What's so strange? Ye Chen immediately thought of the bus in the county town, but he didn't feel embarrassed to say it. He was afraid that Wei Min might get angry and have an abortion, so he quietly got up and picked up the medicine jar before leaving the dormitory. Wei Min, with one hand on his waist, hooked onto the bed behind him and took out a handheld device to light a wedding dress and a blue pill on Meitan. Later, with the help of Wei Ting's planning, a wedding photo photographer and a marriage registration specialist arrived at the dormitory. After taking the wedding photos in the studio and pasting them on the dormitory wall, the marriage certificate was also processed. Finally, Ye Chen fed Wei Min medicine soup and returned to Jia Chang's bed. But Wei Min couldn't spare Ye Chen. After getting up and pouring a glass of water and pills for Ye Chen, she pulled him onto her bed and even said that even a fake couple had to pretend to be a little more. And Ye Chen tossed and turned all night and was about to catch fire. He fantasized about barely falling asleep until dawn, but just as he dreamed that the class flower in their class was seducing him, he was awakened by Jia Chang's shaking. Wei Min called, "Are you bound to get married, Dr. Yi?" Jia Chang didn't know that Ye Chen was feeling a little anxious. Ye Chen nodded for sure and got up. Later, he complained all the way to Jia Chang that Ye Chen shouldn't have been a good person. About 10 minutes later, he passed through a bridge across the river and arrived at the foot of the Drunken Immortal Tower. The Drunken Immortal Tower has already arranged a festive flower basket and a golden arch. Wei Teng, who stood outside the restaurant like a human, greeted Ye Chen as soon as he saw him coming. Then, a large group of non-mainstream people rushed out of the roadside bus and pressed Ye Chen to the ground, beating him violently. Seeing that Ye Chen had been beaten up and stopped moving, he picked up a street lamp and tied it to a lamp post. Finally, he sprayed waste oil and self-spray paint that he had found somewhere on Ye Chen, turning him into a stray dog. He then stood aside and laughed, seeming to have a sense of accomplishment. Last time, there were no such scenes. Last time, Ye Chen and Wei Min went to the Drunken Immortal Tower to order a roasted lamb leg and got married. As for why, Ye Chen, who was suddenly knocked down, was also inexplicable. However, he must have gotten married. Ye Chen didn't know what this meant, but Wei Teng was clear in his heart. He wanted everyone who was attending the wedding and passing by to come and see Ye Chen. He knew that Ye Chen was married to his daughter today, and it was like applying for a marriage certificate last night and secretly taking photos in the clinic cafeteria. He wanted to find more chips, but he couldn't even crawl out of the black pot. Seeing Ye Chen turn into a disheveled beggar, Jia Chang, who rubbed his face on the side, quickly stepped forward to untie him, then took off his coat and covered Ye Chen's face with a beating. After turning his face white, he turned around and angrily rebuked these scumbags. "Your Wei family is really not raised by your parents. They are kind enough to marry Wei Min for the groom. How could you be like this?" Jia Chang still has a palm print on his face. It was when Ye Chen was attacked earlier that he went up and pulled it, but it was slapped to the side. Listening to Jia Chang's harsh words, one of the attackers, a pig-headed face with a death god tattoo on the chest, walked over tall. "If you curse again, your face won't hurt anymore, right?" From beginning to end, Ye Chen was awake. After a group of non-mainstream people saw Ye Chen being packed up, some of them boarded a bus in a roadside parking spot. Ye Chen pondered that these people must have been specially brought by Wei Teng, an old pig and dog, to achieve some purpose. After all, he didn't know anyone else. So when Jia Chang faced off with the tattooed man, he got up and left the confrontation site, using the excuse of finding a place to clean the oil. He came to the side of the bus and touched it. Ding dong. The system has sent a report of brake failure. The system has sent out a stuck fuel door rebound. At present, the sick magic has 0 opportunities to use it. In the last mission, a total of 5 evil points were obtained, and the owner can exchange 1 sick magic or other cheap hands for 5 opportunities to use it. After finishing the task, Ye Chen limped back and pulled Jia Chang, who had twisted his expression into an angry rubber boy, aside. "All right, we can't afford to provoke them. Just endure it and pass by. I have already reported the case. Upon hearing these words, the tattooed man suddenly became stunned and said, You little bastard, dare to report a crime. You're living impatiently, aren't you? I'll settle with you later, hurry up and order a coffin on Meitan for you. The brothers quickly got in the car and left. The bastard groom couldn't afford to play, so he dared to report the incident. Then around 20 non-mainstream people rushed into the bus on the roadside, and under the driver's foot on the accelerator, they shot the bus 3 meters out before landing. Finally, they broke the guardrail of the bridge and charged straight down. 3 seconds later, a splash of water was thrown up and they hid in the river. At the wedding, guests from all walks of life were stunned, but Ye Chen played with black humor and said, It's no use, the police station is here. It's so hidden that even ghosts can't be found. Hurry up and call the rescue team, what are you still waiting for? Suddenly, the silent guests began to shout, but were stopped by nearby residents and merchants who came to watch the excitement. What kind of rescue team is it called? My son was knocked unconscious by them a few days ago and no one called an ambulance. You garbage eaters were also present at the time, right? You ignored the weak when they faced difficulties, and you became licking dogs when the strong faced difficulties. I'm sorry. That's exactly what I mean. The heavens have eyes, they never make me drink. I have to take a whole bite today. You even charged me a protection fee, and I really wish I could hit the water dog in pain, throw him a few big stones, call an ambulance, call a crematorium. I am willing to do so. The groom's marriage has nothing to do with them. They even beat the groom and tie him to a lamp post. God can't bear to watch anymore, can he? At the moment when the bus fell into the river, Wei Teng, who had failed to harvest chips at the entrance of the restaurant, was stunned on the spot. It wasn't until someone called out to the rescue team that he regained consciousness. It's over. There are more than 10 or 20 people. How can I find these wine bags and rice bags? If I want to hide, I won't hide in a better place. Fortunately, only Minna and I knew about this group of yellow hairs that I had brought along, otherwise I wouldn't have been able to break away from the connection. Ye Chen, come over quickly. It's someone else's business, don't worry. The abbot is waiting to host the wedding for you and Minna. As Ye Chen approached with disheveled hair and a disheveled face, Wei Teng looked embarrassed and said, You say this non-mainstream person is just a group of thugs, and there are many people in the crowd. I dare not step forward if I want to help. You see, Jia Chong has been beaten up like this for a favor. Ye Chen lifted his foot and walked straight into the main hall of the restaurant, saying, Let's go. I didn't blame you. You said why did this bus have to cross the bridge? I thought they were just running away from the bridge. What a sin. Chapter 8. Abbot, do you want a wife or not? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Wei Ting smiled bitterly and said, Everyone has their own destiny. Besides, they have bullied you like that. You are still here with compassion, and I feel sad for you. As they spoke, the two of them had already entered the tavern, and the hall of the tavern had already been decorated with lights and decorations. The abbot of Lanroa Temple had been standing for a long time under the 2-meter-high flower wreath. You are Ye Chen, hurry up and stand in front of your bride. Amit Ba Buddha, I am going to recite the wedding oath. Wei Min, do you love your groom? Are you willing to grow old with him and respond to the country's call to have a second child? Wei Min lowered her head and coquettishly said, I am willing. Once I give birth to Ye Chen's first child, I will immediately arrange for a second child. Ye Chen quickly waved his hand and said, No, it's not for me to have a second child, it's for your boyfriend to have a second child. Wei Min, I married you instead of your boyfriend. Did you forget? Wei Ting stood on the side, revealing his true form upon hearing Ye Chen's answer. What about getting married for someone else? Is there such a strange thing as getting married for someone else in this world? Ye Chen, you slept with Minna all night last night. Since you were getting married for someone else, why did you still sleep with the bride? Can you still sleep with the bride while getting married for someone else? It's such a good job, why can't I encounter it? And Wei Min walked out from under the wreath, took out her phone, and showed everyone present the video of Ye Chen sleeping with her from last night. Take a look, take a look. The groom Ye Chen did sleep with me last night. Since Ye Chen knows what happened last time, why should he emphasize again that he was getting married for someone else? It turns out that the window paper between the two parties was pierced by Ye Chen like this last time, and this is something that must be done. Afterwards, Ye Chen pulled the abbot to Wei Min and said, "Abbot, do you want a wife? Wei Tang is afraid that her daughter won't be able to get married, but I'm only 16 years old and haven't reached the legal age for marriage yet. Another thing is that what I'm saying is true, I'm really getting married for someone else." The abbot clasped his hands together and said, "Amitabha Buddha, I have not yet returned to secular life and dare not break the precepts. Now it's your turn, Ye Chen. Do you love your bride Wei Min and have a second child with her?" Ye Chen looked at the abbot with care and said, "Abbot, you don't understand human language, do you?" The abbot remained noncommittal and said, "I have been invited to this restaurant to host a wedding. I dare not expect these things, but only respect the wishes of my employer. By the way, let me add, Ye Chen, you don't understand love at all. Getting married for someone is just a cover, otherwise Wei Min will apply for a marriage certificate with you and share the same bed with you. Do you know something? It's not that Wei Min likes Ye Chen, but that Wei Min and his father are looking for a scapegoat to be the father of Wei Min's soon-to-be-born child. You know how to take over, Abbot. Don't stand and talk without feeling pain in your back." Ye Chen fell into a trap without gaining any wisdom, which made Wei Ting very angry. He called one of the guests, a tall and thin one with a warrior's head, to Ye Chen and whispered a few words. After the tall and thin one left, he calmly tidied up Ye Chen's collar. "Ye Chen, whether it's love or searching for the scapegoat, you're really being pinned to the ground by me now. I can't even get you up if I want to climb up." Ye Chen lowered his head and spat on the back of Wei Ting's hand, saying, "I told you in the clinic cafeteria that if you dare to entertain me, I will be rude to you." After retracting his hand, Wei Ting threw saliva away and wiped Ye Chen's clothes, saying, "It's illegal to hit someone, but even though I'm a bad old man, you dare not touch a single strand of my hair. Do you know that last night after you and Ye Chen left, I called all my 7 aunts and 8 aunts to attend the wedding. They are not only guests now, but also my bodyguards. By the way, let me tell you Ye Chen. Aren't you able to get a large sum of money from Dr. Shui tomorrow? After the wedding is over, my 7 aunts and 8 aunts plan to borrow 12 million yuan from you to buy a house, a car, and even to marry a wife and travel, etc. I hope you don't spend the money and don't buy houses or cars after receiving it." Be obedient. Ye Chen quickly came forward and looked at Ye Chen with a resentful expression. "How about it? I said Wei Min and his master just want you to be the scapegoat. Don't you believe it? It's getting deeper and deeper now, right?" As soon as Ye Chen finished speaking, he was called away by the samurai leader just now, leaving Ye Chen standing there pretending to be calm and using his subconscious to contact the system. Ding dong. Congratulations to the master for successfully redeeming the 6 opportunities to use the powerful diamond hand. Currently, there are 0 evil points. Uncle Wei, in my opinion, all your efforts to make such a mistake are futile. Humph, it's useless. You slept with my grandmother, bought her anti-abortion pills, took wedding photos and obtained a marriage certificate, and discussed marriage with her in the clinic cafeteria. These are all legal evidence to prove that you and my grandmother are a couple. If you dare to speak up, you will be guilty of indecent assault and marriage fraud. The key is that even with my fist, I won't spare you." I don't know when the samurai leader who called away Ye Chen came back, but Ye Chen spoke out loud. Ye Chen could have dealt a blow to the country, but he was afraid of being charged with the crime of mistreating animals, so he chose to argue with reason. Another reason is that the King of Hell probably didn't want to see him lose many details and let this villain be without flesh and blood. The crime of indecency is not established. Ye Chen testified to me that it was Wei Min who voluntarily invited me to sleep with her. The crime of marriage fraud is not established because I am only 16 years old and have not yet reached the legal age for marriage, which is already illegal. Wei Ting calculated everything, but how could he have missed this point? Humph, since you want to offer a toast and avoid punishment, then I won't be polite. I have already called the patrol room. Mao Dalong, don't you come out yet. Then a short and chubby woman in a suit and leather shoes, with a briefcase under her armpit, came to Ye Chen and said, "Do you still know me, Ye Chen? I am the woman who helped you and Wei Min get their marriage certificate last night. You are now 25 years old and have reached the legal age for marriage. Take a look at this. 2 detectives outside have been waiting for a long time. Come in and take a look, check this marriage certificate." Ye Chen stared at his phone screen for a while and said, "Marriage certificate, what's going on here? I'm really only 16 years old." The 2 detectives, tall and short, came in and carefully examined the marriage certificate before nodding silently. Ye Chen, right. This marriage certificate is real. Did you hide your age? If you don't meet your age, you can't get it. Ye Chen shook his head, and there were 100 alpacas in his heart. Patrol brother, don't listen to Wei Ting. He's just a scammer, and Ye Chen is the victim. As soon as the samurai saw Ye Chen coming back and talking nonsense, he quickly stepped forward and pushed him outside the restaurant, saying, "Hey, how did I tell you outside? I can't speak well, right? Do you believe me? I'll send you in together." However, Wei Ting ignored Ye Chen and instead nodded and gave way to the patrol, saying, "Since both detectives admit that the marriage certificate is genuine, let's quickly arrest Ye Chen and bring him to justice." After speaking, he took out the new phone from Ye Chen's pocket and put it in his pocket, saying, "Low-level marriage scams. Others cheat a lot of money, but you do it for a phone." Wei Min also took the opportunity to turn over the video she secretly filmed and handed it to one of the detectives, who had already been cut off when they took it to watch. "Your name is Ye Chen, isn't it? You are completely obscene. Where did they invite you? They are sleeping soundly in bed. Why are you climbing onto their bed? Can you help find lice? I even took off my clothes. You're so hot, come and put on the bracelet." Chapter 9. Does not fit my character of seeking revenge. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Everything that needs to be experienced must be experienced, and the play that needs to be performed must be completed. This is the actor's self-cultivation. Otherwise, even Xiao Gang and Yan Yan wouldn't be interested in you at first glance, so Ye Chen didn't hesitate. He reached out his hand and put on the bracelet. "Let's go." Why didn't the special car enter the hall? And outside the door, a woman dressed as handsome as the cover girl stood between Ye Chen and the prisoner's carriage, saying, "Auntie, why are you here?" This woman's name is Ye Min, and she is the younger sister of her adoptive father, who is the gold medal lawyer that the old Ye family is proud of. Ye Chen asked with a mischievous expression, "I'm no longer your sister. In law, Ye Chen. Don't leave me here to climb relatives around, otherwise you'll even attack me when it thunders. I came here today in response to Mr. Wei Tingwei's doorstep invitation last night, with the purpose of defending him and compensating him for his mental loss, Wei Min's youth loss, as well as Wei Min's child's nutrition and support expenses. I have taken on this business and it's free of charge. I don't care where my older brother or younger brother offended you. Setting aside the facts, let's not talk about whether you will die or not. Now that you happen to fall into my hands, I can't help but let you peel off your skin." Ye Chen snorted coldly, "If there are too many lice, they won't itch. Just let them come over. If Ye Chen frowns, I'm your son." Later, under the orders of lawyer Ye Chen was first sent to the 3rd People's Court of Nanhe County and was escorted by 2 detectives to the defendant's seat in the trial court. The presiding judge, who had been waiting for a long time, first asked the waiter to serve Ye Chen a cup of tea when he saw him enter the court. Finally, Ye slapped a sheep horn hammer on the judgment table and loudly shouted, "Silent." Ye Chen glanced around and saw that there was no one in the plaintiff's seat or the audience's seat. "Me, I didn't speak, did I?" The presiding judge cleared his throat and said, "Wei Ting's defense lawyer, Lawyer Ye, has submitted your criminal facts and demands that you compensate Wei Ting with 500,000 yuan for mental damages, 500,000 yuan for the nutritional expenses of Wei Min's pregnant fetus, and 500,000 yuan for Wei Min's youth losses, totaling 1.5 million yuan. May I ask if Ye Chen is defending, or do you have anything else to add?" "Chief Judge, I don't have a defense lawyer. I will take out a considerable amount of the compensation that Mr. Wei Tang and Mr. Wei want. Can you put me in prison now? I want a single room, preferably with a computer where I can eat chicken and play while." The presiding judge slammed the sheep horn hammer and said, "Maybe there's only a collective house inside, only a sewing machine. I declare that Ye Chen has been convicted of indecent assault and marriage fraud, and sentenced to 3 months in prison. Considering that Ye Chen is an orphan without a defense lawyer and has a sincere attitude of admitting guilt, this court is now offering leniency outside of law, allowing Ye Chen to pay all the plaintiff's fees only after his release from prison. Withdrawal from court. Chief Judge, I protest that Ye Chen's evidence does not mention the provision that he can be granted extra leniency due to being an orphan. I now need to supplement the method of handling criminal evidence. If Ye Chen cannot provide full compensation on the day of the verdict, I earnestly request the presiding judge to announce Ye Chen's death penalty and execute him immediately. The reason is that I am too tolerant of such animals and will commit crimes again when I leave society. Based on my 20 years of industry experience and hundreds of thousands of lawsuits I have handled, it is highly likely that 9 out of 10 prisoners in prison will lose their cases and will not be able to change their ways after being released from prison. And in this way, how many females will suffer harm, and those traditional girls may even find it short-sighted because they can't bear it. Nowadays, the birth rate has been declining year by year, even urging everyone to have 3 or 4 children in a litter. In this way, not to mention having 3 or 4 children, we will all lament and accelerate the population decline, bringing irreparable losses to the economy or population diversity. At this moment, Ye Min, who followed the prisoner's carriage all the way, rushed to the trial court with the plaintiff, including Wei Tang, in a frenzy and spoke loudly. The presiding judge waved his hand and said, "Indeed, he is a gold medal lawyer with a different brain circuit from others. This court has concluded the case in accordance with the laws of the heavenly kingdom." The plaintiff's defense lawyer's sweeping defense is not included in the criminal code. If the plaintiff is dissatisfied with the trial result, they can apply for a second trial and withdraw from the court later. Under the slanted gaze of the plaintiff, Ye Chen was escorted out of the court by 2 detectives. However, at the moment he got on the prisoner's carriage, he was stopped by Lawyer Ye. "Ye Chen, it's natural for you not to eat peanuts. I'm having trouble sleeping and eating. Let's wait." Ye Chen chuckled twice and bent down. "Your family is not just troubled by the fact that Ye has just suffered from 3 major illnesses. Let me tell you, ladies, your brother, who is also my adoptive mother, took advantage of my adoptive father's visit to the city a few days ago to buy Wang Ba Bu's body. I came back from working in the field that day, and my foster mother brought back her colleague who was screwing screws together in the electronics factory to make the dish of stewing small fresh meat with old cured meat. After the 2 of them left in love, I went into the room and collected a large bucket of napkins and stuffed them under my bed. You can take them out for testing when you go back. My foster father has always wanted to have his own child, and my foster mother is really understanding. No wonder she loves him so much." Defamation, you defame, Ye Chen. You don't think there are enough charges, do you? I'll go back and see now. If the test results are not correct, I won't spare you. After Ye Min returned, she collected around 100 pounds of napkins under Ye Chen's bed. After taking them for testing, she handed over the infuriating test results to Big Bucktooth. Afterwards, the Ye family had to beg for medical expenses from Teacher Li, solve the marriage lawsuit of the big bucktooth couple, and spend all their money to continue Ye Gang's life. They were so busy that they had no time for him to worry. And Ye Chen bypassed lawyer Ye and got into the prisoner's car, which was immediately locked up in the sewing machine workshop. He worked for 3 months and was released after serving his sentence. Thank you, Ye Chen, for providing me with living expenses. Outside the high gate of the prison, Ye Chen slipped a bag of clothes and said, Wei Min's grandson, the samurai leader, has called a large group of relatives in the backyard of the clinic to ask for money from you. I don't think you should go back. Ye Chen touched the scar on Ye Chen's eyebrow and said, I didn't see a scar on your eyebrow that day at the Drunken Immortal Tower, did I? Ye Chen gave a bitter smile and said, that day at the wedding ceremony, I spoke for you and was called out by the samurai leader. After I went out, I was beaten up by the samurai leader and several other relatives of the Wei family. They asked me to tightly cover the toilet, and finally asked me to get out of the divine doctor's clinic. If you go back to the clinic and see me beating me again and again, it's like being beaten by the Wei family. Let's go somewhere else together, Ye Chen. I want to follow you. Ye Chen nodded and said, I know what you mean, but I still have to go back. If Wei Tingye and Ye Tingye take a move, I have to accept it, otherwise it doesn't conform to my character of seeking revenge. May I ask if Dr. Shui has never cared about me since I was imprisoned? I have cared about you, he has always cared about you. After you were imprisoned, he printed you on a poster and covered it with the entire empire for promotion. In a few days, you will probably be exhausted. 2 months ago, someone went to the clinic to pay for the number, and now the number has been arranged until the end of the year. You don't even know, some patients actually came from abroad, and some even applied to disembark from the space station in advance yesterday. Did Dr. Shui ask you to use my living expenses in prison? No, Ye Chen. Dr. Shui cares about how much business you can bring him and how much money you can make. He never asks about anything else, even if you had a bad relationship with Lord Wei Tang and were imprisoned that day. Your living expenses are all out of my own pocket, but you don't have to worry. I voluntarily gave them to you and don't have to pay them back. Ye Chen patted Ye Chen's shoulder and said, thank you very much, brother. Let's go back to the clinic. You don't need to go back to the clinic. I'm here to pick you up, Ye Chen. Are you ready for 1.5 million yuan? As Ye Chen finished speaking, a piercing sound of metal scraping across the ground, as well as the warrior's duckling voice, entered his ears. The two of them turned their heads and saw about 10 people running towards this side, holding shiny dragon maces and embroidered spring knives. But Ye Chen didn't say a word when he saw the situation. He pulled Ye Chen and ran in the opposite direction. He met a taxi that happened to arrive on the other side and stopped it, then stuffed Ye Chen inside. Do me a favor, driver. We've encountered some gangsters. Squeeze inside and you guys. Chapter 10. Your name is Wei Gou, such a domineering name. Is your father named Wei Zhu? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Don't force yourself, only one person can come up. If you can't get in, take another car. The road is full of surveillance cameras, and I don't want to have my driver's license revoked or fined. The bearded driver turned around in dissatisfaction. And when Ye Chen saw that the head of the samurai was already within reach, he closed the car door and ran. However, after just a few steps, he was grabbed by the head of the samurai and thrown on the ground because he couldn't run the taxi. You bastard, is my old Wei family having a grudge against you or something, thinking about bad things repeatedly? Come on, my cousins, beat me to death. I'll make you lose your memory. Take 2 more people and drive after me. No one can escape from my hands. After the samurai leader finished giving orders, the 2 of them took a taxi and left. The rest of them punched and kicked, waiting for Ye Chen to vomit blood from the mouth and curl up on the ground unable to move before giving up. Because they were afraid that Ye Chen would be killed, a group of people quickly took emergency measures and formed a circle to suck hot water on Ye Chen's face and body, making Ye Chen vomit. Hey, let them take a taxi to chase after Ye Chen, this little bastard. How did they come back? The samurai shook his head and asked in confusion, but a taxi suddenly stopped behind him. When Ye Chen got off the car, the driver gritted his teeth in hatred and said, "It's hard to persuade a dead ghost with good words. With so many people carrying various weapons, you're just a stubborn person." Ye Chen ignored the driver's kind words and advice. After getting off the car, he calmly tidied up his clothes and said, "How much do you want?" The samurai tilted his head and dragged an iron pipe to Ye Chen, saying, "Hey, push. If you don't regret your marriage, we will borrow a total of 12 million. You're regretting your marriage. Now we need to borrow 20 million yuan, and there's a court ruling of 1.5 million yuan. Hurry up and pay for it." Ye Chen wiped the thick phlegm from his hair with his sleeve and said, "This person on the ground is my brother. You can suck up the hot beer on him and take him to the hospital for a check. Up. After that, I will pay him immediately." As soon as Ye Chen finished wiping off the thick phlegm on his head, the warrior quickly spat up again and continued, "Hey, push. How about I?" Without saying a word, Ye Chen punched the samurai's head and cheek, flying him more than 10 meters away. He then quickly walked over and stepped on the samurai's head and face, which had just slipped to the ground. "Don't want the money anymore." The warrior's head, who had just been unruly, was now spitting out a mouthful of blood, and his waxen face was filled with pity and fear. He couldn't believe how weak and powerless he was in front of the frail Ye Chen. "I brought so many people and guys myself, but someone else only needed a fist. Ye Chen, do you know the crime of intentionally hurting love? Did you just come out and want to go in again?" Ye Chen cleared his throat, cleared a large bowl of thick phlegm, and aimed it at the mouth of the samurai's head before pinching and dripping it. "You're injured, I'm humanitarian enough to give you some protein. I hope you don't hesitate to swallow it." After finishing, he turned around and looked at the Wei family relatives who were trying to charge up with their long swords and iron pipes, but were also hesitant. "Forgive me for being blunt, everyone here is garbage." After finishing the dance, Ye Chen, with the posture of Lu Zhishan pulling down the hanging willows, forcefully bent the still swaying lamp post, forming a right angle, and then became a photography mobile arm in the city of film and television, crossing the Wei family relatives. "Come on, come and hit me." And Wei's relatives have never seen such a monster before. The thick-legged lamp post made him break his sausage like a ham, so he dared not step forward. After all, his arms and legs cannot compare to steel. Instead, he turned his head and ran away, not even his old cousin who fell to the ground and moaned in pain. After the relatives of the Wei family disappeared like ghosts, Ye Chen stopped a taxi and stuffed Jia Chang and the samurai head into it. "Driver, please accompany me to the West Hospital for a check. Up. If it's money, the samurai head is 21.5 million yuan, and I won't miss you." Later, Ye Chen picked up a few steel coins that city people were too lazy to pick up on the road, took a bus, and arrived at the Divine Doctor Clinic. "Long time no see, Dr. Xue. Where did Mr. Wei Tang and Mr. Wei go?" Dr. Xue quickly came out of the counter and tightly grasped Ye Chen's hand, saying, "I've been busy with business and don't have time to see you. Please forgive Dr. Yi." Wei Ting went to the nearby sales department to see the house. "Wei Min just bought a car on mortgage and is now waiting for you to pay the bill in the backyard." Ye Chen nodded slightly and walked through the shop to the backyard, saying, "It's a good trick. If you have a marriage certificate, you can share the money with me. On the one hand, there is a 20 million yuan property that I don't even know who to ask for. On one side, you won the lawsuit with a compensation of 1.5 million yuan. You really made me fat in one breath, and you even cleaned me up hard." Wei Min threw down a cloth and clapped her hands as she walked up to Ye Chen, saying, "You can refuse, but your sister in law is a gold medal lawyer who has been played with by your family before. She probably won't let you down. Listen to me, if you lose, you have to admit defeat." On Ye Chen's face, the clouds were light and the wind was gentle. "My sister in law's family is currently too busy with her own affairs, how can she have time to deal with your trivial matters? Just now on the bus, Ye Chen asked the driver to contact a lawyer for him, and then he had to send Wei Tang and Ye Ting to step on the sewing machine in front of them. I lost. The show has just begun. What's the rush? Who is Ye Chen? I am lawyer Luo from Yumshing Law Firm. May I ask what case it is? A big flat head in a suit and leather shoes shouted in the yard before entering. As Ye Chen waved his hand, lawyer Luo strode over and said, "What's up, you're Mr. Yi." Ye Chen pointed to Wei Min and said, "Her name is Wei Min. 3 months ago, she attended a classmate gathering and intentionally became pregnant with the child of a classmate with a mine at home. In order to give birth and raise her child, and then grass carp leap over the dragon gate, she plans to marry a pot bearer and raise the child for someone else, so that they can recognize each other in the future. On the first day I arrived at the Divine Doctor's clinic, I was targeted by Wei Min and his grandfather. Afterwards, the grandfather and his grandfather asked me to marry Wei Min on behalf of the man who dug feces, citing that Wei Min got married the next day, but the groom was busy digging feces abroad and couldn't come back. Afterwards, I agreed out of goodwill, but this promise fell into the trap of the two of them. As soon as I agreed, Wei Ting secretly filmed evidence of my agreement to marry Wei Min. Then I found a professional who handled fake certificates to apply for a fake ID card for me to obtain a marriage certificate, and uploaded the marriage certificate information to a fake version of the marriage registration website. The purpose is to trap me as a scapegoat. Lawyer Luo can now take out his phone to check. The second one under the search box is a fake version of the marriage registration website. Wei Min's heart thumped for a moment and said, "It's over." Ye Chen, a 16 or 17-year-old boy, how could he know so much? Besides, only my father and I know about this matter, as well as those who apply for fake certificates. How could Ye Chen know? Did the fake certificate holder accuse Qian Xiao of intentionally telling Ye Chen? That's it, I said. There is no wall that cannot withstand wind. My dad doesn't believe it. This time it's completely over. Wei Gou, you're back just in time. Hurry up and invite lawyer Luo out of here. Ye Chen, I am your girlfriend who has been in love for many years. How dare you falsely accuse us both? I see you haven't stepped on enough sewing machines. Wei Gou, Ye Chen has a life without anyone to support him. Come over and teach his parents a good lesson. But Ye Chen turned his head to look at the group of small subordinates led by the samurai leader, saying, "Your name is Wei Gou, what a domineering name. Is your father called Wei Zhu?"